freeze out Tom Brady. Packer safety Adrian Amos will join us to tell us how they plan to do that. In Tampa, Rob Gronkowski telling us why he and Tom Brady have been out of sync this postseason, a rare occurrence for one of the most prolific connections in postseason history. And in Buffalo, the Bills summoning the ghosts of Seinfeld and Mrs. Doubtfire, all quite popular the last time they were a Super Bowl team back in 1994. More popular this week, the formula to foil the Chiefs offense and how it's different from Week 6. And the question in Kansas City remains, will Patrick Mahomes play? Limited participation for a second straight day. So let's start this edition of NFL Total Access by getting an answer, or trying to at least, from our NFL Network insider, Ian Rappaport. Ian, what's the latest on Patrick Mahomes' status?
Well, things are moving in the right direction for the Kansas City Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes. And the reason we know that is because he practiced today. Yes, he practiced on a limited basis, just like yesterday. But being out on the field, taking most of the snaps, if not all of the snaps, is a good sign that, one, he did not have a setback yesterday after practicing. That is good. And two, that he is progressing in the normal, productive way in the NFL's concussion protocol. The hope, of course, tomorrow is that he practices fully. If he is a full participant in practice tomorrow, that means he is likely on his way to being cleared before Sunday. If he's not able to practice fully tomorrow, then perhaps Mahomes might not be ready in time. Remember, this is not something that's decided by the team or by the player or even by their doctors. An independent neurologist makes the final call on Patrick Mahomes actually playing on Sunday. But again, this is one that is headed in the right direction.
Ian, thanks very much there for that status update. Ian will be back with us here in just a little bit as the Eagles head coaching search seems to be coming to a conclusion. Thanks very much, Ian, as we say hello now for the first time. As promised, the Hall of Famer Terrell Davis, Andrew Hawkins. Guys, let's take a look here at this rematch for the Bills and the Chiefs. Rematch of a Week 6 win by the Chiefs, a 9-point victory, TD, in which the Bills' game plan seemed to dare the Chiefs to run the football. They took that dare, rushing for over 200 yards in that game. How do you think the Bills' defense should alter their game plan this week?
Well, that game, Matt Milano, their middle linebacker, missed that game, so he'll be in this one. So that's a plus for them. And I think if you're Leslie Frazier, the defensive coordinator, you have a situation on your hands. Do you try to play the back end and try to pressure up front and then try to, do some man coverage and hopefully Patrick Mahomes makes a mistake? You can try that route, but here's what I think he should do. Do what you did the first time, but I think this time you guys you got to have guys making tackles up front, because it's almost like pick your poison. If you try to shut down the run, they'll throw the ball. If you try to shut down the pass, they'll run it. So with me is looking at what's happening. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, he's questionable in this game. He's in practice limited right now, and so I think they feel like if they can get out on this field, tackle, make some plays as a defense, and not let the ball get over their heads, that might be the best game plan for Leslie Frazier in that defense. But I don't think they should change too much, because whatever you try to do, the Chiefs will adjust. This team is 24-2 in their last 26 games. So they're not just a team that it's easy to say this is what you should do and then go out there on the field and do it. They are a hard out, and the Bills have found that out in Week 6.
I love it, TD. I'm going to go on the defense as well, because when you're facing the Chiefs, you got to go defense. You got to stop Patrick Mahomes, and I think you're spot on with their original strategy. What they did was they hung two safeties back deep and dared the Chiefs to run the football, and the Chiefs did just that. So they have to be more aggressive but not risky. I also think you don't want to blitz Patrick Mahomes. You want to try to rush him with 4, hoping you can put pressure in there, keep him in the pocket, because once he gets out of the pocket, he actually makes those momentum throws and he gets better. So it is a mix and a balance, but you have to stay aggressive, but you can't be too risky. It's like you're trying to thread the needle, but that is the case going against this Chiefs offense. To your point, it's one of the best that we've ever seen.
So essentially, do what you did in Week 6, just do it better. That's the plan. It's that easy. It's that simple. It would certainly help having Clyde Edwards-Helaire, 161 yards in that game, TD, 161 of the 245 the Chiefs put up on the ground against Buffalo. But as TD mentioned, limited in practice all week was Clyde Edwards-Helaire, one of a number of Chiefs limited today. Patrick Mahomes, obviously a big one as well. And check out Bashaud Breeland with Stephon Diggs coming to town. His concussion and shoulder injury could play a big role there as well. And in the NFC, Antonio Brown has not practiced all week with a knee injury, but Bruce Arians says he doesn't have to practice at all to play on Sunday. As we give you a look now in Tampa, where Rob Gronkowski and the Bucs prepare for round 2 versus the Packers. Arguably Gronk's best game of the season back in week 6. Certainly less impactful last week against New Orleans. Just 1 catch on 5 targets from Tom Brady, and it's becoming clear to the Bucs tight end he needs more of the TB12 plan in his life.
He told me I was running too slow, so that's why the ball was overthrown, and I told him that, he's just got to stop working out because his arm's just too strong and he can't read my speed. So that's what was the conversation was. But if we're being for real, like those are plays that, that him and I got to connect on. We got to connect on those plays. We got to connect from here on out. There's no next game we'll connect. We got, the next game, we got next practice. No, it's go time now. It's you win or you lose. You win or you go home.
I think playing on the road it's about good football execution, communication, all the fundamentals, the blocking, tackling, throwing, all those things. So it's a great environment. I mean, this is one of the coolest stadiums in the league to play in. And, I know they're excited. We'll be excited. It'll make for a great football game.
All right, words there from Tom Brady and Rob Gronkowski saying hello again to Hawk and Scott Pioli joining us as promised, as we mentioned here. And now let's get the keys to victory, essentially a point counterpoint in this game here for the Bucs and the Packers. So, Scott, let's start here with how the Bucs can beat the Packers again.
The first things that the Buccaneers need to do is they need to find a way to get pressure and contact on Aaron Rodgers. Now, Aaron Rodgers was sacked and hit the second fewest times in the entire National Football League this year. So last week, the Rams, who had arguably the best defensive front in the NFL, never got to him. So this week, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers need to go back to what they did in week 6, which was apply a lot of pressure. They had 54% of the snaps in drop back pass. They got to Tom Brady, made some things happen. 29% of those snaps, they actually hit Tom Brady. So this week, that's the first thing they got to do. The second thing that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers need to do is Tom Brady needs to channel his inner New England Patriot. Tom Brady in games, in AFC Championship games, in freezing weather or colder, is 4-0. So now, Tom Brady needs to go back and channel his inner Patriot.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with all of that. But I'm going to add one that you forgot, Scott, and that's they have to cure the success hangover. This is a Buccaneers team that just beat a divisional opponent. They lost to twice in the regular season. You have to get over that. That's a big win for this franchise and organization. And some of these players have never been a part of a win this way. Now, we know Tom Brady gets it, and he understands it's a 24-hour rule, and you're moved on. But for everybody else, none of that success carries over. You can't bask in the glory. You can't take this to Lambeau, because I can promise you Aaron Rodgers and the Packers don't give a damn about what happened 6 days ago.
Yeah, you better believe it, as the Bucs sit here and try to be the first team to play a home Super Bowl, of course, in Raymond James Stadium, home of Super Bowl 55. But for the Packers now, Scott Pioli, how do they avenge that Week 6 loss and get past the Bucs?
Right, the first thing that they have to do is establish the running game early. The Green Bay Packers' entire offense is predicated on the run and having success in the run. Matt LaFleur, their head coach, comes from the Mike Shanahan, Kyle Shanahan school of running the football and then doing everything off of that. Last week, as a matter of fact, their first 9 plays, 7 of them were runs. And in order for them to do what they need to do in the passing game, they need to establish the run and then build off the play action game. Aaron Rodgers being able to move and work off the play action is ideal for the Green Bay Packers. Then I think that the second thing that the Green Bay Packers need to do is they need to get pressure on Tom Brady. They need to hit Tom Brady, because in the Week 6 game, again, I know it's a completely different week, but they did not sack Tom Brady once. The biggest problem that Tom Brady has during a game is when he's hit too often. As a matter of fact, in 2 games this year, when he was hit 8 or more times, Brady lost both of those games. So again, the Pack need to establish the running game and get to Tom Brady.
Scott, you're a genius. I see why you were executive of the year. You were spot on. They have to run the football. This offense, I played in it. You've seen McVay run it. We've seen Shanahan run it. It's not a passing offense like people think, even though the numbers are great. It is a running offense. The run sets up everything, and not even just because you want to have a good run game. It is so strategic. I would go into games, and I could almost pinpoint the exact amount of catches, the exact amount of yards, and when I was going to make those catches in the game because of that strategy. So for the Packers, they have to run the football to set up everything else. It's not, again, that this is a passing offense. It's that this offense and this passing game is efficient if you establish the run first.
Certainly works for the quarterbacks, as we saw an MVP for Matt Ryan in a Matt LaFleur type of offense with Kyle Shanahan there in Atlanta. And then also we would expect Aaron Rodgers to get another MVP this year. Okay, Scott Pioli, hang tight. Going to be back with you here in just a second. We had 3 coaches introduced today as new head coaches. Another head coaching vacancy is on the verge of being filled. Colts offensive coordinator Nick Sirianni is expected to be the new head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles, 3 years in Indy, with Frank Reich now taking over for Doug Peterson, who was let go after 5 seasons as the Eagles' leading man. And with that, now we welcome back our NFL Network insider Ian Rappaport. Scott Pioli here with us as well. And Ian, why is Sirianni the choice for Philly?
Well, one of the most important things the Philadelphia Eagles were looking at was who can fix the quarterback position, how to get this offense, which was so disjointed so much of the year, how to get it going in the right direction. And the Philadelphia Eagles had really an exhaustive coaching search after not even knowing they were going to have a coaching search until probably a couple days after the season ended. They interviewed old coaches, younger coaches, offensive coaches, defensive coaches, all sorts of different backgrounds. But what it seemed like is that owner Jeffrey Lurie specifically wanted an offensive coach who could help make Carson Wentz again. And we've spent so much time talking about where Carson Wentz is going to get dealt this offseason. Is he going to go to Indianapolis with Frank Reich? Instead, what the Eagles did was they brought Indianapolis to Philly. They hired Frank Reich's right-hand man, Nick Sirianni, the offensive coordinator for the last couple of years. He has impressed during games, although, of course, he does not call plays. He's a bright young coach who they believe is going to get not just the organization going in the right direction, but Carson Wentz going in the right direction as well.
Ian, I agree with everything that you're saying. You know, I had the good fortune to be with Nick Sirianni when Todd Haley brought him into the National Football League in 2009. Nick was working at Indiana University of Pennsylvania. Todd Haley brought him to the NFL as a quality control coach, and all the things that you mentioned that you believe the Eagles are looking for, I agree. He is a tireless worker. He's an offensive mind. He's got incredible energy, and he's all about accountability. Those things I think are very important to the Eagles at this point in time from what I've heard. And Ian, I think you nailed it. And Nick Sirianni, I believe, has a chance to be a very, very good football coach in the National Football League.
Well, and Eagles fans should feel pretty good about the fact that Phillip Rivers threw 9 fewer interceptions this year in his first and only season with Sirianni than the year before, especially seeing as how Carson Wentz tied for the league lead in interceptions this season with 15. Guys, thanks very much. Appreciate that. More to